Let's go to Psalms 94, 15 through 17. It says, but judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall what? Follow it. Who's going to follow it? All the upright in heart. He says, who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. He said, my soul almost dwelt in silence. Somebody said, I almost kept quiet. I almost didn't say anything. What you gonna do when they come and they ask you, are you a Christian? Do you believe in Jesus Christ? I'm sure many of you would have the mindset of a Peter. You would deny him and act like you never knew him, with the mindset that in my heart I really believe. But let me tell you something. Jesus said, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father which is in heaven. I got news for you. Denial of Christ is not just predicated on the person asking you a question. You deny Christ by how you live your lifestyle once you walk up out of this building, because the moment you told somebody that you were a blood-bought believer, the moment you told somebody I'm on the praise team, the moment you told somebody I usher at church, the moment you told somebody you were a deacon, you were a minister, you are a pastor, you put yourself in a position to represent Christ to the fullest. Am I talking to the right people? And so we think that denial of Christ is just based on the fact that if you ask me a question, but y'all ain't gonna help me. Every time I make the booty call, I am denying the Christ in me, the hope of glory. Y'all ain't come to preach with me today. Every time y'all ain't gonna help me, I cuss people out. I am denying the Christ in me. Y'all ain't gonna help me. So if I deny him before men, he would deny me before the Father. Every time I get you straight and tell you off, and I show off and try to make you look ignorant, every time I operate in pride, it is the denial of Christ himself. Y'all ain't saying nothing. You thought it was just based on somebody asking you a question. But I'm telling you right now, it's bigger than that. And we have been so inundated into the things of the world, and we've gotten so comfortable, and we've heard all these messages of grace as if grace is a license to sin. Y'all ain't gonna help me, but how many people know grace is a divine impartation to live holy? Y'all ain't gonna help me. The word grace is charis in the Greek. Y'all ain't gonna help me when it really speaks to the ability of divine order in your life. Y'all ain't gonna help me here. Okay, what are you talking about? Romans 6:1. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How are we who are dead to sin? How can we live any longer therein? Well, let me put it to you this way. I always use this example, Lady McGee. My grandmother died in 1998. Somebody holler, she's dead. I'm pretty sure that her body has already decomposed, or it's very stink at this particular moment. Well, now watch this. If you came to my house and I had her body in the coffin in my house since 1998, would you come into my house? The truth of the matter is you probably couldn't come in because of the smell, and I probably wouldn't be able to get away with it that long, because they would have hygiene arrested me and said what? That he's crazy. Right? So how many people think that it's absurd for me to hold on to her body because I love her and I don't want to be without her? No, she's dead. It doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't make sense that the sins that you were dead to, that you keep going back and picking them up and bringing them back to your house, and you wonder why God has evacuated himself from your presence, because you stinketh. Y'all ain't gonna help me. Look at y'all. You stinketh. You smell. Listen, he doesn't hang out with sin, nor can he sin. But every man is sinned when he's drawn of his own lust and what? Entice. You trying to figure out why you can't feel God's presence. What dead thing do you still carry with you? What thing from your past still lives in you, is alive in you? And what thing in your past that should have been crucified on the cross and should have been buried and should have not been resurrected again in your life are you still carrying? Touch your neighbor, say, neighbor, when are you going to stand up? God has always looked for one person, somebody who would stand up. When he got ready to destroy mankind, in the book of Genesis chapter 6 verses 1 through 5, the Bible talked about how he repented that he made man. Violence and sin was so rampant in the earth, and as he got ready to destroy it, he found one man named Noah. And the Bible said he found favor and grace in the sight of God. When he got ready to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he told him, he said, can you find 50 righteous in the city? Then he went from 50 to 40. Ultimately, he went to 10, but he settled on Lot. Every time God gets ready to release his judgment, he's looking for at least one person that will stand up. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Somebody say, will you stand up? Will you stand up? When Israel was under attack, he was so convinced that he needed a man. He raised up a guy by the name of David, who war on behalf of God and had so much blood on his hand, he could not build the temple. When God got to the place where after he instituted every covenant that we know, the Edenic, the Adamic, the Noahic, the Mosaic, the Palestinian, the Davidic, he got to a place where he instituted a new blood covenant. And he said, you know what? I cannot find a man, so I'll send a man. He said, I can't find a man, so I'll send a man. And he sent the man in the form of Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, Jesus, God incarnate, which means God incarcerated in flesh. When he could not find another man, he sent the man. Well, my question to you today, is there a man or a woman today that God can depend on to stand up for him? Is there somebody in this room that's gonna make a decision? I'll arise against evildoers. I'll arise against iniquity. I'll rise against the enemies of God, and I will declare God's word everywhere I go. Is there somebody in this room that'll stand up?